Ronny Seidel lavora nel gruppo BNP Paribas da oltre 20 anni, occupandosi principalmente delle attività di leasing e delle iniziative di digital banking. Attualmente è a capo del marketing and sales per il business automotive di BNP Paribas Personal Finance, con l'obiettivo di sostenere il settore automobilistico nella costruzione di soluzioni di finanziamento e di mobilità più sostenibili e accessibili.
Hello, Ronny Seidel. We're very happy to have you here in our episode of Automotive Forum Live, our second episode called Pilot Flame. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor for me to be here and try to lighten the flame and share some information and some convictions with you in the Automotive Forum.
Thank you. Let's carry the flame of this industry. It's too important, and it has to stay burning. By the way, you were also involved in the Auto Reloaded event that BNP Paribas organized last February. That was very interesting, an opportunity to get together with topics, etc. So well done for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Our first event. I hope it will be as good as yours, because it's a great event in Italy.
Okay, let's do some friendly competition and put as much quality as we can. So I know that you care a lot for the topic of making mobility accessible. There is a need to move, but there is also an issue of budget, and so there is a task for the automotive industry to make things and mobility accessible. What is your view on this?
Let's say for me, mobility related to cars or not is a triangle which is quite difficult to balance. Because first of all, you're looking for comfort and flexibility when you want to move. That's the starting point. Then, and it's very important in the COVID situation today, you're looking for security, personal security, security for your family, health security, etc. And then you have to balance the budget. So this comfort with the right level of security needs to be accessible compared to your revenues. And it's important to have in mind that the transport and mobility is the second household spending in Europe. So it's a very high budget. You have to balance your budget. And depending if you live in a city center or in the countryside, your needs will be different and your budget will be different. You might need 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars. So it's very important to allow people to go to work, move with their family, go to holidays, etc. for the right price.
I like this issue of balancing because it underlines the importance of customization. You know, the listening to and looking at individuals' needs, so customizing individual packages. So that's the big challenge for mobility. Is that the case, right?
Yes, I agree. And we need to talk a lot to our partners and to their customers about what the right solutions are, what are the right solutions today. And next year, it might be slightly different. So we'll need to adjust over time.
Yeah, so that is reminding us the importance of listening. Many times also at sales outlets, we're getting told that more and more the customers want to be listened to, and that's a big task for the car industry. I know that you also collect year by year data that gets the perception of the automotive public, consumers across markets, different European countries. And so I know that you can probably share with us some data on how consumers are relating to the environmental sensitivity, because today's the news are full of worries about CO2 emissions and all the impact of cars onto our lives. So what can you share with us?
Yes, it's true. We do every year our Automotive Observatory by BNP Paribas Personal Finance. And inside, we are asking questions in 15 geographies around relationships to cars, to mobility, and the environment. So this year, the environment had quite a heavy weight in the questionnaire. And the interesting thing is that we compare countries, so between the 15 countries, and then the average the world and in Europe. And the first question we asked automotive users is if they thought that the critics, which are leveled towards automotive and car usage, are justified or not. And interestingly enough, Italians think more than the average in Europe that they are justified. So it's quite an important information. So close to 80% of Italian car users think that the critics on emissions are justified. So that's the first very important point. But on the other side, we were talking about car usage and what you do with your car every day. On the contrary, just 4 out of 10 Italians think or would be ready to give up their car, whereas the average in Europe would be 6 out of 10. So this means Italians are very much attached to their car, but think that the impact of their car is probably too high. And I think this is quite in line with what you hear in the press today from governments, public authorities, that cars are bad, the environmental impact of cars is high. Obviously, everything is relative, but people are aware now. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to progressively move to cleaner mobility and cleaner cars. So it's a very good starting point, maybe pushed a little bit too far, because it's not just black and white, diesel, petrol, electric. The realities are very different from one country to the other, but it's a very good starting point to build local solutions.
I think it's interesting because your data are showing that Italians, they want the car, and also they are very concerned, higher than the European average, about the environmental impact. So this is actually suggesting that there is an opportunity for our colleagues here in Italy, dealers and brands, to actually work and provide that type of customization and answers and listening for that. So that's a good message for the business, provided that the right accessibility is provided.
Exactly. So I think the average in Europe was about 85% of car users think that, for example, electric cars are the right answer to move in this direction. Obviously, using an electric car is not that easy, because the first thing you need is infrastructure to charge the car. And the deployment of infrastructure is not quite the same between the different countries. Then, and it is still true, electrified cars and electric cars are more expensive than petrol or diesel cars. You can have different tax regimes, and you can have subsidies which are different, but the base price from electric cars are different. The prices are supposed to decrease over the next couple of years because there will be higher production quantities and the price of batteries is going to decrease. But I had an interesting discussion with a manufacturer 10 days ago, and they said with the new regulations coming up on additional security requirements, etc., car prices are still going to increase. So likely, the money we earn on purchase prices with more volumes on electrified cars will be compensated by price increases when it comes to connectivity and security, which brings a struggle, as you explained at the beginning, in terms of affordability. Because even if you're convinced you want a cleaner car, you will need to be able to afford it, because otherwise it will just stay in intention.
And this is also puts a greater spotlight on the need to provide customized financial solutions, because there is the car, which is expensive, the batteries sometimes that you buy or lease as a separate form, the infrastructure, so the recharging station, maybe that you need also financing for that. So that opens up a broader set of tailoring, customization and options. So that another working agenda for the industry, right?
Yes, I agree, and I think it's a collective effort. It's a collective effort amongst manufacturers, dealers, finance companies, but also public authorities and governments. The starting point would be education on what a car means, in terms of emissions. The total cost of ownership is very important if you have to choose a car. But when we ask consumers about what is the budget for your car, actually the estimated budget is fairly low, because nobody is aware on a diesel or petrol car what is your total cost of ownership. Nobody knows what will be the maintenance over a 5-year cycle. How much will my maintenance cost for this car, the repairs? People usually have in mind the insurance. They have in mind the financing. But sometimes even the financing, they don't remember how much they pay. So the first education would for me be on the impact of cars. What is the right choice depending on the personal situation? If I'm a city mover, what is the right mobility need for me? If I'm living in the countryside, what do I need for my family? And what is the budget of the car I have today, the car of tomorrow? So I would start with what I'd call inform and reassure, the consumer on his choices. This is I think it's a very important starting point. And the second point would be, based on this, provide the personalized solutions you mentioned. Because a new car might be a right choice for one person, a used car for another person, or recent used cars. And even if we can help a consumer to buy a more recent used cars, the environmental impact of this car will be better than an older one. So it's not bad to buy used cars. We can help progressively the car fleet to become younger, because on average the cars are quite old in Europe. So I would say every little step we do together with the partners, with public authorities, is the right step. So we have to invest time together and then motivate, obviously, incentives for car purchase, but also us as finance companies, or with our partners, the dealers, help the right driving behavior. You know, there are with connected cars, you can do a lot of things. Explain to people how they would need to drive to consume less electricity or less petrol, how they can spend less on maintenance, provide maintenance packages to reassure them on the total cost of their car, that they are able to afford it in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So I think together we can build the right solutions depending on the personal situation of the buyer.
Thank you, Ronny, because that was interesting. The idea of this has become an ecosystem. So the collective action, the blurring lines between private and public, need to think more together as an industry and all the institutions, and more attention to data, more attention to listening, more attention to service and customization, and this is probably gonna make it work. So we're very happy you've been with us, sharing this stimulus and idea. Next section, we will have a dialogue between Alberto Ungari of Indicata and Tommaso Bortolomeolo of Quintegia. But let me thank you again for finding the time to be with us in Automotive Forum Live and share with us so many insights. Thank you very much, and look forward to see you soon, Ronny.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the invitation, and great event again.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Merci. À bientôt.